In 2023, Copenhagen was named the top food city in the world. That's right, Copenhagen. Not Tokyo, not Paris, not New York City, which to a lot of people might be surprising. So I decided I wanted to test it out. I found 10 different restaurants around the city. Everything from hot dogs and burgers, all the way to fine dining restaurants in amusement parks and the #1 restaurant in the world to see if it really deserves the title of the world's best food city. The first place we went to was this cart for some Danish street food, aka hot dogs. This is DØP, and we got to meet the hot dog man himself, Klaus. His title is literally head of hot dog. How cool is that?
The Danish hot dog is just the best in the world. We made this one 100% organic, and it's more healthy than the traditional ones. In the sausages, there are more meat, less fat, and less salt. Our bread, it's whole grain with sourdough.
The hot dog looks stunning. Not like the ones you get at baseball games in the US, this is a real hot dog.
Yeah, I mean, this hot dog looks remarkable. Just, here we go. The hot dog itself is really, really juicy. That cheese melts nicely, comes through really beautifully. And then you've got a little bit of that spice from the mustard, tang from the pickles, crunchiness and softness from the fried onions and the bread. It's just a huge explosion of like different flavors and textures. It is a loaded up hot dog and it is an amazing one.
But the proper Danish way to eat a hot dog didn't sound very appealing.
Apparently the thing to do, someone told me this, is to eat your hot dog with chocolate milk, which I was not expecting.
Danes have always eaten this, but why? I don't know. But it's good.
Oh my god. I was not expecting this to be as good as it is. Chocolate milk and hot dogs, that's the new combo. That's so good.
So DØP, to start us off, is a pass. It's a great place. Later, we're gonna try some crazy fine dining, including the #1 restaurant in the world, but we keep it simple with our next spot with maybe an unexpectedly famous place that's known for burgers.
So the way this next place works is you're walking along, and then all of a sudden, bam, gas station with burgers.
Yup, this is a literal working gas station that sells some of the best burgers in the city. I mean, this woman literally pulled up to get gas right next to us. She's not even getting a burger.
There's something called a butter burger here, apparently from the American heartland. I'm sure some of you know what that is. I've never had one, so butter burger sounds delicious.
Could I get a butter burger combo?
Yeah.
Do you recommend adding cheese to that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's add cheese to that.
Everything is butter and cheese.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just placed our order, and it's about a 10-minute wait, and I figured in that time, while we're waiting, might as well talk about why this place is so special. What does make it special is their dedication to organic produce. They work with all these local organic farmers, and the idea behind it is if you're creating a chain that uses organic produce, because you have so much demand from a chain style of restaurant, you're able to get farmers more excited to make organic produce as well. Gasoline Grill does use very high-quality local produce that they know exactly where the meat is coming from. Every single burger is made to order, meaning that it'll be fresh, using natural ingredients, that'll be absolutely delicious, hopefully.
One butter with cheese, one regular fries, and one large fries. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
There's a burger, butter, onions, a patty, cheese, done. Oh my god. Oh, this is so good. It really is very buttery, clean flavors. It doesn't feel like super heavy. Sometimes a burger will make you feel like you're gonna die by the end of it, but I think this one's gonna be just the right amount. All right, burger done. Let's go to the next place.
So far, 2 thumbs up for Copenhagen food. We've only tried the cheap stuff. And if it wants to be the best food city in the world, it needs to nail food across all price points. In case you didn't know, Copenhagen has one of the highest concentrations of Michelin restaurants anywhere in the world. It has 27 total Michelin stars. 2 restaurants here were ranked #1 in the world, and the last restaurant that we're going to visit was actually ranked #1 in the world 5 times. If you've watched my videos before, you'll know that my favorite restaurant, Alchemist, is also here in Copenhagen. By the way, if you haven't watched that video yet, you should, because it's incredible. Later in this video, we'll learn why there are such great fine dining restaurants in this city, but for now, we're going to our first Michelin star restaurant. We are at Alouette, which is a Michelin star restaurant that has truly incredible reviews. But does it live up to the hype? We started with a tomato salad, and right off the bat, the food here is stunning. I mean, look at this dish. Also, you know it's a fancy place when they fold your napkins like this. What? Next up was a dish that features prawns and habanada peppers, which are habaneros bred to be not spicy, because Danish people don't like spicy food.
Holy crap, that is delicious. So sweet from those prawns, creamy from the almonds. Those habanero peppers give you that like fruitiness of a habanero with no spice. For someone who doesn't like spice, I love spice, but for people who don't like spice, that is a winner. That is spot on.
It's a really cool place. There's an open kitchen, super colorful and delicious non-alcoholic drinks, but what makes Alouette stand out is their service. We were sitting right at the kitchen, but I noticed instead of just giving us our food, they would make a big loop and then come back and serve us, and they did it because they didn't want us to know when our food was coming. They wanted us to sit back, relax, and get presented with dishes like every other guest, even though we could literally see them making our food.
I also just learned that licorice comes from a tree, and they give us a little bit to try. Not the biggest fan, but I kind of knew that going in.
The concept of Alouette is that they're focusing on highlighting incredibly local produce, with sets of dishes focused on specific growers. And the end result is a tasting menu that's purely delicious. There's no better example of that than this glorious bread.
I'm a huge sucker for bread. And here we have one of the most beautiful breads that I've ever seen. Genuinely, the gloss on it, the flowers on it. It's this beautiful homage to Parker House rolls, which are delicious on their own. Their first bread was very good, but this is their main bread, so it has to be even better. So soft, pillowy, buttery. The glaze on it gives it a nice little, almost like an umami kick. Gotta try it with the sauce too. Even better. Even better.
And before we move on to the next place, they had one last little touch for us.
To finish off the first of our fine dining meals, they asked if we wanted to come out to this like little terrace. But that was gonna be a terrace for like lots of people, but it's literally just like we're sitting in a couple chairs here with some blankets and a fire and some sweet treats to end the night. The hospitality here is incredible. It's like beautiful food, really well thought out, but the service and the people here are so chill and just like, we just want you to enjoy yourselves, that it makes this experience so special.
So far, the food in Copenhagen is nuts. 3 for 3 thumbs up. We still have some crazy places to visit, and later we're gonna eat in an amusement park, but we woke up the next morning and headed to what many people say is the best bakery in the city, Juno.
Here at Juno the Bakery, it is one of the most popular, if not the most popular bakery in all of Copenhagen. I'm here on a Sunday morning and the lines are ridiculous. You have to wait probably like 30, 45 minutes just to get in, get your pastries, but we'll see if they're well worth it.
So now it's time for a rapid fire review of all the pastries we got, starting with their croissants, specifically their chocolate croissant. And just listen to this crunch.
Whoa. Super buttery, really flaky on top, chewy on the inside, which is something that you don't see on too many croissants, but I love it when a croissant is just that little bit chewy on the inside.
That guy gets a 7.5 out of 10. Next, we have the plain croissant.
I mean, look at that, gorgeous. Yup. Like I said, a good croissant, in my opinion, needs to be flaky and crusty and crispy on the outside. It needs to have this kind of nice texture on the inside. You want to taste a little bit of that doughiness, and you certainly can here.
Surprisingly, that one's even better at an 8 out of 10. But we did not come here for croissants. We came here for something better, their cardamom buns.
Cardamom buns are one of the most iconic Nordic sort of baked goods. And in my opinion, Juno the Bakery makes the best cardamom buns. So when I asked them what made these buns so special, they responded with love. Feels a little bit like a cop-out answer, but I mean, if they're that good, then love might be the answer. Oh my god. Oh, unreal. They've got this interior that is quite dense, quite chewy, quite moist, which is lovely. It's got that little bit of sweetness from the sugar, but then the cardamom comes in, a little bit of spice underneath. Not like a spicy heat kind of spice, but more of a warming fall time spice. It's fall right now, the leaves are changing, I'm wearing a coat outside. This hits the spot.
The cardamom bun rating? Drumroll please, 12.5 out of 10. They're insane. Next, an evolution of cardamom buns with custard in the middle. Does this count as a Danish, by the way? I don't know.
These are superb. Wow. This one, I expected it to be really, really sweet, but I'm giving it the biggest Asian compliment. It's not too sweet, which is just perfect.
Look, this one is good, but it can't beat the cardamom bun. 9 out of 10. And finally, a surprise.
I grew up eating a ton of those like blue tin Danish butter cookies to the point where, and I'm sure many people will relate to this, when you opened one in your home, oftentimes it had like sewing needles or different little trinkets and things like that. The reason I bring that up is because they brought over this beautiful tin of Danish butter cookies. I'm not gonna eat all of them, I'm not gonna try all of them, but I just wanna try a few that might be the classics. This one seems like a pretty classic one, just sugar on a Danish butter cookie, to see how much better it can be than those blue tins that I grew up with. Yep, I can tell the difference. I mean, it's just night and day. Those blue tins, fantastic, hit the spot when needed, but they are quite dry. These ones, super nice.
These butter cookies get an 8.5 out of 10, but a +1 bonus for nostalgia. And our winner, of course, are the famous cardamom buns. Juno the Bakery passes the test. Thumbs up.
I think that Nordic baking is the best baking in the entire world. That might be a hot take, I don't know. But I think it's true, and this is probably the best bakery in Copenhagen. I'm eating way too much on this trip, to be honest. When the food is this good, you can't complain.
Before we go to the next place, it's time for our Danish culture lesson of the day. Today's lesson is on bikes.
If you've come to Copenhagen before, you'd probably wondered why there are so many freaking bikes everywhere. They are everywhere, and all around the streets there are tons and tons of biking parking spots. There are bikers going past right now, and it's actually the easiest way to get around the city. Okay, I've been passing so many bikes that I really want to know how many bikes there are in Copenhagen. I don't know what the number is right now, but with some editing magic we can put the number in right here. Wow, that's a lot. Now, one of the reasons that so many people bike in the city is because there's so much infrastructure to support biking. Copenhagen is really flat, so it's really easy to get around the city. It's quite small, so to get from one end to the other is only about 20 minutes on a bike, and they have all these things on the road to make it easier as well. The bike lanes in a lot of major roads are raised so that they're quite separated from the roads themselves, and it's quite safe in Copenhagen, so you don't have to worry about people taking your bike or stealing it.
So we biked over to our next food spot, and I'm gonna be real with you guys, this is probably the spot that I was most skeptical of, because Copenhagen is not known for ramen, and this is a ramen shop. Slurp Ramen Joint was started by a former Noma chef. We'll talk about and visit Noma in just a little bit, but just know that it's a big deal in the city, and it means that there's some serious culinary expertise going into this ramen. The reviews of this place are pretty insane. Reviews from people who have visited more than 200 Michelin one-star ramen restaurants and other ramen restaurants in Japan. Donghan Byul said, "If you taste this ramen and it doesn't taste good, it's because you lack knowledge." And if they said that, then I have faith. Their menu is super simple, just a few different types of ramen, and they actually make everything in-house, including the noodles themselves. Before they start service for the day, they quality control all of their broths, tasting and adjusting to make sure they're perfect for their guests. This place is, at the same time, one of the most chill restaurants and also one of the most chaotic, and I kinda love it. There's always a line out the door, so the ramen must be good, right?
So first up we have their shoyu ramen, 100% chicken broth with soy sauce as well. This is addicting. The noodles, soft, slippery, but they have a nice little chew to it, and same with the meat. You know, it's tender, but it has a little bit of a bite. It was perfect. Next we have our shio ramen, which is a lighter broth. It's 50% chicken, 50% fish, and no soy sauce. You get a little bit of brininess from that fish in the fish broth, but still got really like nice deep flavors. Lastly, we have a veggie ramen, which I normally wouldn't get at a place like this because I do love the meat, but you gotta try it more here. Whoa, the broth is super umami. I think it's probably from, you know, dried mushrooms, things like that. You get a little bit of mushrooms inside as well, but then you also have some vegetables that cut through with a little bit of acidity. Oh, beautiful. This is really, really world-class ramen here. I've had a lot of ramen, and that is a great, great ramen.
Copenhagen faced its biggest test yet. Is this a pass or a fail? I say, pass. Well done, Copenhagen. So we just tried the least Danish food. Now I think it's time to try the most Danish food, smørrebrød. Smørrebrød? No, smørrebrød. Whatever, it's an open-faced Danish sandwich, and we're at Selma, a Michelin Bib Gourmand restaurant which makes some pretty fancy ones. And today, we're trying 3 levels of smørrebrød. Level 1, the classic. Herring with toasted buckwheat, apples, creme fraiche, and cheese. Some people might be scared of herring, but I personally love it.
That rye bread has such an interesting texture. It's tough, it's dense, but it supports everything else really well. It doesn't get super in the way. The herring, not too bad, not too fishy. I think you can get some that are a bit more heavy on the fish flavor, for example, but this one's pretty mild, and with the apple, with the fennel, it feels quite light, quite fresh.
Next, level 2, the modern. Cured salmon, bergamot mayonnaise, fromage blanc with lovage oil, and pickled cucumbers.
Very different from the first one. That one is a lot more fatty, a lot less of a fishy flavor, a lot more light and fresh. Beautifully light flavors though. If number 1 was an 8 out of 10, this one's probably like a 7 out of 10. No, it's not as traditional, but really delicious in flavor still. Very, very beautiful, obviously.
And finally, level 3, the avant-garde. Grilled celeriac, porcini mushroom mayonnaise, toasted pistachios, ume kosho, and cheese foam. What a dish.
That one is stunning. Beautiful, just like fall flavors. Really nice and roasted, earthy. That cheese comes through really nicely. The berries, honestly, it feels like something you could kind of just go into the forest, pick out, roast over a fire. Incredible. Very different from the first two, which were a bit more acidic, a bit more bright. This one is really just earthy, roasted, nutty, fall-time vibes. But it is a messy one.
Selma whizzes through our test with flying colors, and it's a strong thumbs up for me. If you are in Copenhagen and you want to try a Danish classic, Selma is absolutely one of the best. But if you're in the mood for something fancier, something elevated, something truly world-class, there is no better representation of true New Nordic cooking than this next restaurant. Our next spot is Kadeau. 2 Michelin stars, number 54 in the world. This place oozes with New Nordic influence. They have 2 seasons, growing season and preservation season. And we're in preservation season, which means a lot of fermentation. This is extremely rare, but the first dish right off the bat wound up being the single best dish all night. It blew my mind. It's a combination of different textures of preserved tomatoes with pine, blueberries, and currants.
This is an art piece. You don't want to even touch it because it's that beautiful. You know I love tomatoes, so... Holy crap. That is so beautifully sweet. Even though tomatoes aren't really in season, they're using these preservation techniques to maintain that tomato flavor. The texture on the inside is really chewy. It's almost like a chewy candy. I don't even know, like, usually the first course is not the best, but if it's going to get better, then this meal's going to be insane.
They hit you right away on that high, and each dish that comes after continues the trend of beauty and deliciousness. They're one of the few restaurants that I think plays with texture in really interesting ways. By the way, this dish had an ant in it, but that's pretty typical of Nordic cuisine. Even the drinks have ants in them.
The drinks here have been fantastic, and this one in particular uses ants. We'll wonder how it tastes. Really creamy, really delicate, light on the palate, a little bit of florality from those rose hips. Man, this drink pairing, very good. This drink, just wanted to shout it out because it's particularly interesting.
This restaurant is honestly nuts, and I knew going into this next dish that I would love it.
Very much Kadeau on a plate for us. It's one of the ingredients that we love working with here, which is the Norwegian trap cod raw shrimp. These shrimp are incredibly tender, they're really sweet, and they're really soft. They're incredibly delicious, really powerful. Come from the very northern parts of Norway, so we pair them with peeled walnuts, and then we also have a little bit of mahogany clam and a sauce on top.
That is just butter. Like the prawn, so sweet, so creamy. You just don't get prawns like that in the US. Oh, I wasn't originally gonna react to a dish after another dish, but that one is so good it deserves its own reaction.
I mean, just look at how intricate these dishes are. It's precise, it's gorgeous. Honestly, I can't communicate how good this meal was. You need to be able to taste it. But if Kadeau is known for one thing, it's this next dish.
Kadeau is coming from an island called Bornholm. Back in the 1800s, there were around over 100 smokehouses, and this used to be a way of trading for goods. It's a great story for us as a restaurant, especially a restaurant in Copenhagen, to tell a little bit about the story of the island, the traditions, and the techniques that used to be used in the island.
That is the softest, most creamy almost texture of smoked salmon that I've ever had. I feel like smoked salmon by nature tends to harden up a little bit, but that is probably the most tender salmon that I've ever had. I need to try another bite here. It's so tender, you honestly don't even need to chew it. This dish, I mean, wow. Delicious.
And they don't normally let you try the skin, but if you ask for it, they might just let you.
Really glossy, the natural oils are coming out of that beautifully. We have some pickles to eat it with, but I want to try it on its own. It really is like the opposite texture of that inside. Much more smoky in flavor, much more chewy in texture, contrasts really nicely from that super melt in your mouth inside, but I do think I need to wash it down with a couple pickles.
While the dishes here might look deceivingly minimalist and small, these courses add up, and by the time we got to the end of savory courses, we were already stuffed. But there's no way we were leaving any food on these plates, and dessert is a different stomach, right? We had an oyster dish at the beginning, but it made a reappearance as an ice cream dish in an oyster shell, and we finished the meal with this absolutely insane tart. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this was my first meal in a very long time where there were literally 0 misses. Kadeau is incredible. This place gets a triple thumbs up. But why is the food in Copenhagen so good? For that, we had to go to a very special place.
If you ask someone who doesn't know that Copenhagen is this amazing food scene, how they would describe Danish food, they might describe it as something along the lines of fishy, fermented, really strong flavors, when in reality that's not really the case. You can get pretty much any food at an incredibly high level here, and it's all thanks to one restaurant, Noma. Noma is a restaurant that was started by Chef René Redzepi. In the early 2000s, he wrote this manifesto, this new Nordic manifesto. It focuses on using Nordic ingredients, using things that you can find here, and then finding ways to manipulate it so that you can use them year-round. Can you use different techniques? Can you really figure out ways to be creative with your food so that you can use truly Danish, or more broadly, Nordic ingredients? Noma went on to win the #1 restaurant in the World Award 4 times. Then they closed down, renovated, moved locations, opened up again, and again, they won #1 in the world, so a total of 5 times. But just because a restaurant of that caliber exists in Copenhagen doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the food in Copenhagen will also get a lot better. But in this case, it is true, because what actually wound up happening was so many people came to Copenhagen to work at Noma from all around the world, because it was the best restaurant in the world. And then after they left, they loved Copenhagen so much that they decided to stay and open up their own restaurants. So over the past 10 or 15 years, Noma has really become this creative, influential force into building up Copenhagen's food scene to the point where it is today. There's actually a very important reason that I'm in this location right now, because this building behind me on the first floor is where Noma 1.0 used to be. But this place was actually taken over by another restaurant, which we're gonna visit right now, called Barr.
We'll get to try Noma at the very end as our last meal in Copenhagen, but the new occupant of the Noma space is apparently very good too, so we decided to check it out. Barr is super simple. There's nothing super avant-garde, but it has that sort of light and airy feel to it in a casual setting. But the food here is absolutely banging. Here you just get a simple 3-course menu, starting with their waffle.
Our first course, Belgian waffle style, brushed with brown butter, the Danish way. Then we charred it a little bit. In the tin you have some bleak roll, sour cream, creme fraiche in the bottom. So I recommend you grab the spoon, don't be shy on the waffle, then eat with your hands.
Not gonna lie, the Danish way of making waffles where you crisp it up with brown butter, perfect. Also, the concept of a savory waffle, amazing.
After this, they're known for their schnitzel.
So we have our schnitzel, our signature free-range pork. Leave it in a salted brine for approximately 6 hours. Got some mushrooms on top with some fresh pine needles, lingonberries on the side, Barr's brown gouda sauce, dried capers for a lot of crispiness. You got anchovies, shallots, lemons.
I feel like I haven't had chicken schnitzel that is that complex in flavor. Bursts of acidity from those lingonberries, the beautiful earthiness from the chanterelles, and the pork cooked perfectly. That sauce on top as well gives a little bit of tang, a little bit of richness with the butter. Oh.
And dessert, again, following that same theme of simplicity and focusing on taste. Barr is doing everything right, and they're upholding that Noma space incredibly well. And between fine dining meals, this was the perfect break. Barr passes the test. We are 8 restaurants into our Copenhagen adventure. We have 2 restaurants left, and we have definitely saved the craziest for last. We are now far away from hot dogs and burgers, and we have officially entered the land of the avant-garde.
Our time here in Copenhagen is almost done, but we still have a few things that we need to do. We still need to check out 2 fine dining restaurants, and one of them is actually in this amusement park. We are in an amusement park in the center of Copenhagen. There are kids screaming, there are coasters going. It's super chaotic, but there's actually a really fancy restaurant somewhere in here. Before we check it out though, we need to go explore the park, and I'm gonna take you along with me. All right, let's go.
Tivoli Gardens is an amusement park that is literally right in the middle of Copenhagen. It's said that Walt Disney was inspired to create Disneyland after coming here. It's one of the cutest amusement parks I've ever been to. The theming, the decoration, it's spot on and very Danish. There are all these little games that kids are playing around the park, and I even learned that I am terrible at archery.
So how do you actually do this? Didn't win. But I learned how to fire an arrow today, so that's good. All right.
Danish humor is also particularly interesting, and I'm not entirely sure if I get it because there are some bizarre and kind of dark children's performances.
Not gonna lie, I have no idea what the hell I just watched.
And lastly, we had to try a couple thrill rides.
We are at the top of Tivoli Gardens. We're here for obviously the rides and the games and the fun, but we're actually here for a fine dining restaurant. There is a 2 Michelin star restaurant that is inside of the amusement park, which is the coolest place you can have an amusement park. There are kids screaming. It's gonna be a good time. We are in the Japanese pagoda, the Japanese tower. It's really cool. They do these pop-ups and they invite Michelin star chefs. And right now they have one of my favorites, which is Cox from Greenland. If you don't remember, I made a video a while back on the entire Cox experience. I went to Greenland, I tried it out, I got to go behind the scenes a little bit. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But they've brought that here to Copenhagen.
If I had to describe the food in one word, it would be gnarly. You not only get things like shrimp heads on your tartlets, but you also get whole small Greenlandic fish, like this one, which is a capelin.
Another favorite from Greenland when I was there, with the head and everything, they said that the head is optional, but you and I know that the head is not optional when we're eating together. So I actually tried to catch these when I was in Greenland and was unsuccessful. It was my first time ever fishing. It's a fish that eludes me, but how does it taste? It's got a really nice oiliness to it that's contrasted and offset by those gooseberries. It reminds you of a mackerel, but with the sauce and everything, it's sublime.
And if that wasn't gnarly enough, this next dish certainly is, because their signature dish is served on a literal bird wing.
Signature dish, which has been dish of the year last year, is the patarmigan. We of course take out the breast, we grill it to give a nice charcoal flavor. In between we put this king oyster mushroom and tunag, which is reindeer fat that we cure in juniper.
The bird is so tender, and those berries punch through that gaminess perfectly.
Cox takes one of the harshest environments in the world in Greenland and expresses it beautifully in one of the most refined tasting menus you can ever have. And even though we are in an amusement park, it really feels like you're eating in a fine dining restaurant.
How they're able to bring a little bit of Greenland into Copenhagen, still keep that same ethos, a lot of the same ingredients, is remarkable. Here in the middle of an amusement park, you get this kind of sanctuary of fine dining. So here they have a rotating list of chefs from the best restaurants all around the world that come in for a month or two, cook some incredible food, and give people a restaurant choice when they are in the amusement park. It's something that I haven't seen before. I've never had a meal of this quality inside of an amusement park, but it's one of the coolest, if not the coolest venues for a fine dining experience that I've ever had.
Cox technically is not in Copenhagen, but the fact that they can cook at this level here in the park means that it 100% passes the test. So far we are 9 for 9 and the pressure's on because if this last place fails, then this might not be the best food city in the world. But luckily for us, we have a great finisher because our final restaurant of the trip has been the #1 restaurant in the world a whopping 5 times. This is Noma. Noma is literally the restaurant that has changed the food scene in Copenhagen. It's the one that started the New Nordic movement and gave an identity to a cuisine that didn't really have one before. And when you come to Noma, you can expect to have some of the most bizarre food in your life, starting with the very first course.
So when we arrived at the table, we got this beautiful presentation of a game bird. You can see the head here. Now we're eating the different parts of the game bird. We just use our hands. And now we're gonna try the wing.
No, not a problem.
Hello.
Taste okay?
Tastes delicious, of course. that was Renee who just came up. Oh my god. Tastes so delicious. The texture is chewy, yet almost crunchy. It's almost like a cartilage, and the flavor is just beautiful. I love what it's glazed with. Oh, what an opening. What an opening.
This restaurant is about naturalism, presenting foods in their natural environment, like this pear dish that arrives hidden underneath an actual pear. But where they really shine is their fermentation, and this next dish is a perfect example of that.
We just wanted to show you the kombucha mother, as the next serving is all about it. So we asked the question, could we make something delicious out of it?
So this is an SCOBY of cranberry. We just tenderize and then we just put it here with some pine salt on top. And after we're gonna finish with this is rose hip, and then we fill with jelly of jasmine tea. Just pick it up from the stem and eat it in one bite, please.
We're in the middle of game season, which is where Noma leans into forest ingredients, game proteins, and earthier flavors and textures. Sure, some of them might be simple and delicious, like this wild boar belly with an apple on the side, but others are weirder, like an omelet made with reindeer brain.
Yeah, it's actually a brain, but it's inside of an omelet. It's really smooth, really savory. The spice comes in nicely, the foam is really nice complement to it. Reindeer brain? Not so bad.
But not only do you get the reindeer brain in the omelet, you also get the reindeer tongue, and of course, the main reindeer itself.
So we had reindeer brain, we had reindeer tongue, and now we finally have the rest of the reindeer. So we have the main piece of reindeer meat, and then we have a little bit of reindeer fat that we pair with that meat. I mean, there we go. I feel like the other ones have their own distinct flavors and textures. That is meat, that is game, that is reindeer, that is what I came here for. Beautiful.
You get beautiful dishes made with and served on sunflowers, but then you also get some that are a bit brutal, like this bird that looks like it was shot and carved open right here on the plate.
This bird that we just got was nuts. It's called teal and it was hunted wild, so they warned us that it might contain shot or bullets or pellets inside of the meat, so we gotta be careful. No pellets in this one. No, it's a beautiful, delicate bird. It's gamey, but not super gamey. It's really, really tender. That is a delicious bird.
Noma was and continues to be a pioneer in Nordic cuisine. It's a restaurant that's unlike any place I've ever visited, and their care and thoughtfulness with ingredients is what really sets them apart. It's a whirlwind of dishes that feature local ingredients in new and unexpected ways, and that didn't stop with desserts, where you'll be eating pine cones and soaking up chocolate with flowers.
So we have this flour inside of this chocolate sauce that we're supposed to swirl, soak up the sauce, and then just suck the flour. Not bite into it, just suck it. Oh, the chocolate is beautiful. Getting it from the flour, you get a lot of those floral notes. Really light, but contrasts with the richness of the chocolate.
This Copenhagen trip has been phenomenal. 10 out of 10 thumbs up, no misses at all, and it's just a testament to the food here in the city. So is Copenhagen the world's best food city? Tokyo, Paris, New York, all of these are massive cities. At the end of the day, Copenhagen has just 600,000 residents. So for the food here to be this good is almost unimaginable. The produce, the diversity, the talent, all of it here is unmatched. And even if it's not the #1 best food city in the world, it absolutely is one of the best. You can't go wrong with any restaurants in Copenhagen. But if you do visit, maybe some places in this video will wind up making it into your trip.